Yeah, I mean, it shows that it is bad. And I think it's interesting because I think it leaves England with quite a. It's kind of given them an interesting scenario that obviously they didn't want, but I guess it's kind of a good way of being able to see how we can set up a test team without, kind of the first name on the team sheet. We've named the 11. We've got Stokes' replacement in there. I think a lot of people kind of thought that we'd go down the batsman route and go with Cox.
I did think that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people did, but when Matthew Potts got announced as the replacement, I was there thinking, okay, didn't see that coming at all. To be honest, I thought it would be kind of straight up Cox comes in like for like, in the batting order, replacing Stokes, and then Smith stays as where he is at seven. But obviously, there's been a bit of a reshuffle now, and yeah, a lot of the debate I've been seeing online is that England suddenly have a really long tail, which they're not wrong, I think, but I think any kind of any batting lineup without Stokes at six looks pretty long. I don't know if you agree, Peter, but I just think any side where you take a player like Stokes out, it's gonna look if you don't, especially don't replace them with another batsman, it's gonna look pretty. It's gonna look like quite a long tail, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. They've replaced an all rounder, and in recent years a batting all rounder, with a bowler, and a bowler that might throw the bat a little bit. We'll see in this Bazball era. Mark Wood comes in, on the team sheet. Mark Wood comes in after him, and he's been known to throw the bat about a bit in this Bazball era. Um, but yeah, they've lengthened the tail. I if they were if they were going to be playing Australia or India, I think perhaps I would have been a little bit more nervous, because you want strength and depth of your batting if you're going to be batting against the world's best in the bowling department. Not to say that Sri Lanka are going to not cause problems for England. I just think that I think England perhaps would have gone with a batting option, and Cox would have played if it had been perhaps a stronger bowling lineup. Having said that as well, having said that, that it puts a heavy weight on the batters that are left. Jamie Smith is new to Test cricket. He's looked good, but he is new to
Mhm.
Test cricket. And we can't forget that Dan Lawrence, who is Zach Quilly's replacement, has not opened in Test cricket before. And
Yeah.
he's done it. It says here on the BBC that he's opened 5 times in first class matches, but you know that's with your a shorter batting lineup. Um, it is a bit of a risk. It is a bit of a risk. What do you think about Dan Lawrence opening?
I mean, I think you kind of really you could probably see it coming from the outset. Really, as soon as Crawley got injured, I imagine they probably wanted to try and keep the replacements from within the squad and not have to, sort of call up any extras as cover. But for me, I mean, I, I think as much as I'd love him to be in the team, I think that it's situations like this when a player like Keaton Jennings isn't getting picked. I think it's a case of like, is that it for him? He's been very much on the cusp, and I think, I think it was before the, was it the India? It was one of the touring series. That might have been the last time I went to Pakistan,
He
and I
was in the
think that's
squad
when
last
it,
time we went to
yeah,
Pakistan. Yeah,
and it was a bit sort of, we didn't really know who the opening pair was going to be, and I think Jennings that county season for Lancashire, he had quite a good season. I think everyone kind of thought, this makes sense. He's had a good county season. He's a good opener. We need an opener. Everyone was kind of putting the dots together like that's what it's going to be. But obviously, it's not. with the ECB, it's never that straightforward. It never seems to be the easy sort of solution. So yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a big fan of Jennings. I would have liked to have seen him be given this chance. As it was, they've stuck with the players who they named in the squad, and I feel like the fact that 2-3 years ago, if Lawrence was if he was in the squad and we had an opener an injury to one of the openers, we wouldn't have taken that gamble. We would have just gone, right, we're going to try and bring in another out and out opening batsman.
Mhm.
But I think now with the way things work, with Baz Ball and the kind of setup what we have, yeah, it was kind of inevitable, really. And I think you can kind of say that for both the changes, really. I mean, really with Cox and Potts, we basically had two, whichever way we wanted to go, we had two good replacements to come in for Stokes. It's just the fact that everyone basically thought it was going to be Cox, and
Yeah.
then obviously Potts gets the nod. So yeah, I mean, you know, it'd be interesting to see how Lawrence does do as opener, and I'm really pleased to see Potts back in the team. And I think we touched on this sort of before the West Indies series that this was going to be a really good summer to try something different. And I think we've been forced into it basically. I don't think we would have made these changes if we didn't have to. I mean, I would like to have seen the bowlers rotated a bit. I mean, it would have been good to have say Pennington make his debut, bro. He picked up his injury in the 100.
Yeah.
Another,
The dots are connecting. Oh
yeah,
no.
exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. It's the hundreds, folks.
Oh
It
no.
always has been. Um, but no, it would have been great to see him play some games this series. Whether or not we would have rotated the quicks, I don't really know. I think I kind of feel like we got the point where if Wokes and Wood are fit at home, we play them. I think that's kind of the vibe what we're getting at the minute from the kind of the selectors and them too. So no, I mean it's going to be interesting. It'll be a couple of it'll be two chances for Lawrence and Potts, and maybe even chances what they didn't think they'd get. So they're going to be sort of raring to go, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how two more players kind of fit into the baseball mold. Because I know Potts has played, he's played a couple of times. I remember watching him bowl against New Zealand a few years back in like the first summer of baseball. Um, but it's a new challenge for them, and it's going to it's a new team challenge for England really, and just see how we can kind of all gel and keep the momentum going really.
Yeah. Well, I think Dan Lawrence has always been like the next man sort of thing.
Yeah,
Ben Duckett, I believe, in the West Indies series, was also waiting on in the to head off to his pregnant partner, and I think Dan Lawrence would have taken Dan Lawrence. Oh my god, goodness me, I'm getting the names completely mixed up. You all know what I mean, everyone. Ben Duckett go off to his pregnant partner. Dan Lawrence would have come in. I think that
there
would
we
have.
go.
There we go. Thank you. So so I think, and I kind of feel. Correct me if you disagree. Because of the nature of this England team and how tight knit it is, they've not brought anyone in new to replace Crawley or Stokes. I feel that no matter who had got injured, so say if Harry Brook had got injured, it would have been Dan Lawrence coming in for Harry Brook. Joe Root gets injured, Ollie Pope gets injured. It would have been Dan Lawrence because it's just the nature of the team. It's the close knit nature that Dan Lawrence is like the backup bat. And now that Dan Lawrence has come in, Jordan Cox is now the backup bat. And as soon as Zach Crawley is fit, I'm assuming that he is fit and well for Pakistan. Zach Crawley comes back to open because him and Duckett have got a good thing going on. And then Lawrence goes back to being the backup bat, but still part of that tight knit squad sort of thing. And maybe here, Matty Potts is the backup bowler sort of thing because it looks like Atkinson and it looks like Wood and Wokes have got the quick the quick nod, as it were.
Mhm.
And I think on the front of giving someone a go, it would be quite nice to see Ollie Stone perhaps in one of these tests. You know, Gus Atkinson will have played 4 tests by this. Well, in fact, they all would have played 4 tests by the end of this match, apart from Potts. So, you know, maybe at the Oval, Ollie Stone, the last one of the series, assuming that we're going into it 2-0 up as well, so there's nothing on the line, perhaps gets a go for before with the concluding of the Test summer. Maybe I you know I think in football, you know, they always try and keep the team the same as much as possible. They don't like change, and this Bazball team, this Brendan McCullum team, is quite similar. You know, if the team's winning, why change it? Even if it is to do something new and bring someone in before bigger tests, you know, we're winning. Who cares? And that kind of harks back to the Silverwood era, where we were chopping and changing the team so much, and it was starting to affect the results as well. You know, we're not doing that again. We're sticking with people we trust. And if that means Ollie Stone sits on the side, Ollie Stone sits on the side, I guess.